Most powerful man on the planet? Meet the wealthiest man on the planet. They hate each other. Or do they?
Feuding over the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which Musk has called a disgusting abomination.
Kicking off a remarkable online tussle, writing, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election."
And that prompted Trump to respond. He just went crazy.
Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore.
Okay, maybe they hate each other. But if they do, it's not in any Trump playbook I know of for him to stay angry for long. Not with someone as important or with as much to offer as Musk does. And there's already some evidence the two sides are regretting that things spiraled so far out of control in such a short time.
Musk then writing, "Time to drop the really big bomb," saying the president, quote, "is in the Epstein files."
Considering how Trump and Musk seem to be best buddies these last several months, posing for photos, teaming up at press conferences, and basically being each other's biggest cheerleaders.
I love the president. I just want to be clear about that.
I don't care about that.
I know. I love the president.
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man.
And he is a truly incredible guy. And I don't say that often.
When it finally came time for the two to formally part ways, the end of May being the official end of Musk's mandate to cut government waste, the send-off was kind of weird.
Very special that I give to very special people. I have given it to some, but it goes to very special people, and I thought I'd give it to Elon as a presentation from our country. Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
For starters, it was a bit cold. The rapport was stiff.
Yeah, that was a really weird event, I thought. It seemed like they were trying to put a really good face on this and keep it together for the sake of the children.
It was a nice departure, but it wasn't overly effusive. And that's sort of a reflection of where their relationship was in that moment.
And there's plenty of reporting out there which explains one reason the relationship might have been strained around this time. Musk, according to The Atlantic, was dealt a disappointment over a government job that was very important to SpaceX. The job? Head of NASA. The man meant to fill it, Jared Isaacman, a fellow billionaire and someone who had actually purchased a seat on the very first private SpaceX flight to orbit in 2021. Musk very much wanted this man to lead NASA.
When you hear Isaacman talk about it, it's not that they're best friends or anything like that, but it's clear that he is someone that Musk knew and trusted to be at the helm of NASA.
Obviously, Elon sees the American space program as his own sort of area to play. Isaacman was going to move the U.S. Space Agency in a more commercial direction. He was likely to give more contracts to SpaceX and other private companies. And he also shared Musk's view that the agency should be focused on Mars, not on the moon.
But Trump was about to pull Isaacman's nomination because, according to the New York Times, he learned that Isaacman had donated to prominent Democrats in recent years, and on confronting Musk about it, said this was not good. And so the decision was made.
President Trump said over the weekend he's pulling the nomination of billionaire Jared Isaacman as NASA administrator.
Trump decides that Jared can no longer be the top person at NASA, and this drives Elon Musk crazy.
It really seems like there was tension building for months between Musk and other members of Trump's cabinet, and the Isaacman nomination is where that all came to a head.
And for anyone who didn't already know, Musk was about to reveal his other big gripe with the Trump administration. Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, the one the Congressional Budget Office said would add $2.4 trillion to the annual deficit, which is at least several times what Musk has spent the last few months cutting from government spending. Musk wrote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination." And that post got a lot of play.
This massive, outrageous
Pork-filled congressional spending bill.
A disgusting
Abomination.
But these two were just getting started. Musk was relentless, attacking not just Trump's approach to managing America's finances, but also laying into the president himself, effectively telling Trump, without him, he's a loser. And you're welcome. Trump would fire back just a couple hours later, saying Musk was wearing thin and calling him crazy, and then threatening to leverage the power of the United States government against him by canceling billions of dollars in subsidies and contracts that currently go to Musk's companies. And then things just got nutty. Without providing any evidence, Musk basically suggests Trump might be a pedophile, bearing in mind that being mentioned in the Epstein files is not itself an indication of any wrongdoing, and we've long known Trump and Jeffrey Epstein knew each other. Again, not itself an indication of any wrongdoing. But then Musk continues that he's going to decommission the lifeline between Earth and the International Space Station, that maybe, yes, Trump should be impeached. Oh, and Trump's tariffs, the linchpin of US trade policy in 2025, maybe they're stupid and are about to plunge America into a recession. And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been How You Destroy a Relationship in 60 Seconds.
A staggering escalation, unlike anything we've ever seen in American politics.
So, madness, right? In part because we're talking about two of the most powerful men on the planet. I mean, they can both launch rockets, for God's sake, except they're locked in this online slap fight on social media where you can equally watch kids argue about whose Pokemon is stronger. But the elephant in the room here is that in some way, it really did look like each man just picked a fight with the only other person on Earth who could destroy them.
If there is anyone who can challenge Trump in certain ways, it's Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk exists as Elon Musk with or without Donald Trump. Even if they get in a feud, Elon Musk is still the richest man in the world.
On the other hand, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. He's shown a tremendous willingness to use federal law enforcement, the federal bureaucracy, as extensions of his will and a mean to achieve his policy preferences.
Let me explain. Trump's advantage is knowing how reliant Musk's company, SpaceX, is on government contracts. They're worth billions of dollars a year. I've seen estimates around 18 to 20 billion over the past decade. And if all of that were to suddenly disappear?
We'll take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidy. So we'll take a look at that.
Trump could also punish Musk by having federal regulators step up how much scrutiny his companies are subject to. And I'll give you an example. Think about how complex the health and medical and ethical rules might be around Neuralink, which is Musk's attempt to implant a computer interface directly into the human brain. The Boring Company, it digs underground tunnels. There's a series of them under Las Vegas right now, where the ultimate goal is to develop an entirely new transportation infrastructure for people and goods. SpaceX, there are innumerable federal regulations, even ongoing investigations into everything from launch safety to water pollution. And think about Tesla, an electric car company whose effort to develop fully self-driving vehicles has been under a microscope since the very beginning.
Really, when you think of Musk's companies, every single one of them has exposure to the federal government, and whether it's through their contracts or the regulatory approval process, Trump has a lot of ways that he can strike back at Musk.
But let's consider what leverage Elon Musk might have over Trump. He's got money, right? Wealthiest man there is, and the biggest donor in Republican politics. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars to help elect Donald Trump, and Republicans don't want that money leaving the tent. There's also the question of the technology Musk controls. I mentioned earlier how invaluable the federal government is to a company like SpaceX, but that works both ways.
NASA, and by extension, the US federal government, has really come to rely on Musk in particular to bring astronauts up to the space station and bring them home. And that's, it's a pretty powerful card for Musk to be able to play.
You remember when two astronauts riding a Boeing Starliner capsule to space kind of got delayed, stuck on the International Space Station for 9 months when the trip was only supposed to last about a week? At the end of the day, it was Musk to the rescue. A SpaceX flight finally brought them home.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
No other company comes close to matching SpaceX's launch capacity and its ability to organize, get into orbit and move people, equipment, and data around the world.
This is a company that for the military launches about today 60% of military satellites. Those are very important for everything from communications to missile warnings to reconnaissance. They operate Starlink, which is a broadband internet network that lets you get on the internet anywhere in the world.
But also consider what we might think of as Musk's soft power. He has his share of fans. A New York Times Siena poll in April had him approaching Donald Trump's favorability rating. Trump with 43%, Musk with 35%, and looking at their unfavorability ratings, they were exactly equal. That's worth something when you consider how Musk's take has split Republican consensus on exactly what it means to be fiscally responsible.
I very much support Elon, and I have supported Doge.
Elon's not wrong that we need to cut more and find better ways to get to balance.
And it's certainly worth something if, for example, Musk were to follow up, as he sometimes does, on a recent poll he published on X, asking, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? And then there's this, an observation or a warning. Trump has 3.5 years left as president, but I will be around for 40 plus years. But even all of this may not be the biggest reason Trump might have to fear Elon Musk.
From what we already know, Elon Musk sort of had tentacles by design and by Trump's management style in all manner of the government. So there is a world in which if Elon Musk turned on Donald Trump, he could reveal a lot of what he saw, and it might not necessarily be flattering.
So as these two men grapple with each other to the very brink, right up to the edge of the cliff, how do you not ask the question, would they have to be insane to continue fighting? Donald Trump has a long history of making friends of enemies and vice versa. Take your pick of world leaders who have alternated, sometimes within surprisingly short periods of time, between being embraced and being threatened.
Trump views power as fundamentally transactional. He views his relationships with other people about what can you do for me and what should I do for you in order to get you to do that.
Even Trump's own administration is filled with people who have shouted from rooftops, Trump is a bad guy. Here's Marco Rubio, the man currently serving as Trump's Secretary of State.
5 days ago, we began to explain to the American people that Donald Trump is a con artist.
Woo, right? And what about the time the current vice president openly doubted whether Trump was even fit for office?
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Vance called Trump Hitler, and he's on the ticket.
Because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump.
Yes, in Trump's world, enemies don't always stay enemies. And when it comes to Trump and Musk, there are already clear signs that the two sides are beginning to realize maybe they don't want the relationship equivalent of thermonuclear war. Some of the most inflammatory of Musk's posts on X, the one linking Trump to accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, the one threatening to abandon NASA and the ISS, the one suggesting Trump should be impeached, they've since been deleted. And I feel like this is as close to an apology as we're likely to get from Musk at this point, in response to a fellow billionaire pleading for Musk and Trump to just get along. A negative, that's a positive. You're not wrong. And Donald Trump's administration has so far largely brushed off Musk's attacks, sparing him from the kind of harsh retaliation you might expect, whether through the White House press secretary.
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion.
Or through the vice president, appearing on a podcast like this past weekend with Theo Vaughn.
I think that Elon, he's an incredible entrepreneur. And look, man, I'm always going to be loyal to the president, and I hope that eventually Elon kind of comes back into the fold.
And this will sound kind of stupid, but I think it's telling that Trump hasn't come up with a nickname for Musk. Not like he did for Sloppy Steve or Bird Brain Nikki Haley or Ron DeSanctimonious. He's just Elon Musk, the man who perhaps lost his way and We'll see.
Does Musk become one of these folks who slowly cycles his way back into Trump world because he's valuable or because there are things that Trump thinks he can do for him? Or does he become more like somebody like, Chris Christie or Nikki Haley, who used to work with Trump, who used to have a good relationship with Trump, and is now essentially permanently on the outs with him?
So that's where things stand. A president and a pioneer, both worth billions with spheres of influence that affect billions, going to war, but appearing to realize they've made a terrible mistake. At least they'll have gotten some laughs out of it, though. One of Musk's more recent posts, most entertaining outcome is most likely.